Welcome, myself Rajkumar Oba, and I welcome all students to Tungal PU Science Colleges. Now, in this video, I'm going to begin with a new chapter that is biological classification. Right, so now before we get into the chapter in detail, biological classification, a few points I would like to tell. So, what is life that you have learned in the first chapter? And now, whether the life is existing only on this planet Earth or is it present even somewhere else also? So, the answer for that question, so we are still searching. So, we do not know whether the life is existing okay on other planets or in other solar systems existing in the galaxy, that we do not know it. We are still searching for the life, whether they are present or not on other planets. And at present, what we know is that life is present only on this planet Earth. And this life on this planet Earth is all evolved by itself. So, on this Earth. So, it is not a creation, it's not a special creation. It is all by chance the life evolved on this planet Earth. That we will see in our coming session, so how that life evolved, okay, and how that life got diversified into different species on this planet. All that we will see in our coming sessions. Right, now here the biological, which means living organisms. So the classification of living organisms is what we study under biological classification. Now here, from very long back onwards, many scientists they try to classify organisms. Okay, so the earliest person who tried to classify these organisms was Aristotle. So Aristotle, who is considered as father of biology, and he is the person who actually tried to classify the organisms in a scientific manner. So he tried to classify organisms in a scientific manner, and he classified plants based on their morphological features. So he classified plants based on morphological features. So here the morphological features are the shape, size, and in what form they are present. And later we will also study that not only the external features, the morphology includes even internal. So external morphology and internal morphology. So in those days, the scientists used to consider only the external morphology. So this morphological features which we need to consider are only external morphology. So means how the organisms look like. Based on those features they used to classify, because in those days there are no microscopes or advanced scientific equipment is not present. So hence they were not able to see deep into the bodies of organisms, and they used to see only the superficial characters of organisms, and based on that they try to classify. The same thing was done by Aristotle, and he classified plants based on those morphological features. So what into what he classified the plants? So he classified the plants into three categories. Into three categories. One, There are herbs, then shrubs, and then trees. So basing on their appearance, so how they appear, so based on that they have classified into these three categories. So here herbs will have soft stems. They have soft stems. Okay, so you may see, okay, so soft stem with branches. So this is a herb. Then coming to shrubs, they will have woody stems and appear bushy. So it means that if all those branches arise from the bottom, okay, so you can see a lot of branches appearing from the bottom, right? So this is what we say a bushy appearance. So this is in the case of a shrub. So this is how the shrub looks like. And coming to trees, they have large trunks. So that is actually the trunk is the stem. The main stem will be very big, and here how you will see, like in case of a banyan, mango, so all those are okay trees. So this is a tree. So this is the shapes, okay, of plants. So by observing those shapes, Aristotle classified, okay, into these categories: the herbs, shrubs, and trees. And he also tried to classify, so he also classified animals, right? So he also classified animals into two categories. He classified animals into two categories. So that is one, an ama, and another one called an ama. Right. So here an ama are the organisms or animals, animals with the red blood. All those animals with red blood. So he classified as an ama, and the animals without red blood, so he classified them under, okay, an ama. So you can consider, like for example, in the case of the organisms with red blood, even humans are also included under an ama. Here it includes like earthworms. So it includes earthworms, okay, humans, etc. So will be coming under that group. And here coming to an ama, so where I mentioned that animals without red blood, so they are called an ama organisms. And in this case you can consider, okay, insects like cockroaches. So they don't have red blood. So of course these classifications we are not following now at all, so because they are based on simple morphological features only, so hence we are not following. So I'm just telling you this because we need to know from almost from where they started to do this classification process. So Aristotle is the first person, as I told you, who tried to classify the organisms in a scientific manner, but that classification is a very much superficial classification, and at present we are not at all following. And now much more, a little more scientific type of classification was proposed by Carl Linnaeus. So Carolus Linnaeus. So he is regarded as the father of taxonomy, right? So this taxonomy, which means is a branch of biology that deals with identification, classification, and nomenclature. So that deals with so these things. Identification means identifying those organisms, and then classifying them, keeping in a proper order, okay, and then giving them scientific names. So all these three will be under the taxonomy. So taxonomy, which means branch of biology that deals with identification, classification, and nomenclature. And Carolus Linnaeus is considered as father of taxonomy. Now here, Carolus Linnaeus, he classified he classified organisms into, okay, two categories, or I say he's the one to introduce kingdoms. So he classified uh, all those organisms into two kingdoms. Of course, all the life on the planet he did not include into these two kingdoms. So what that is, kingdom plantae and another kingdom is animalia. So these are two kingdoms. So these are the two kingdoms that was proposed by Carolus Linnaeus. So I say that Carolus Linnaeus, he proposed two kingdom classification. He proposed two kingdom classification. And what are those two kingdoms? Kingdom plantae and kingdom animalia. I think with these names you might have understood that the kingdom plantae, it includes all plants. It includes all plants, right? And coming to animalia, so this one, it includes all animals. The kingdom plantae, it includes all plants, and kingdom animalia, it includes animals. Then what about other organisms? So there are other organisms like bacteria, then there are fungi, and okay, there are protozoans, dinoflagellates, euglenoids, and so many. We have other group of organisms that have not been included in this classification. So in course of time, so this classification, that is two kingdom classification, was replaced with a three kingdom classification. And of course, at present, in the textbook we study five kingdom classification, and I'm going to then discuss in detail about that five kingdom classification later. So we'll see. So I told you that this two kingdom classification is not sufficient because it has left out so many organisms, not taking into the classification category. Okay, so kingdom, two kingdoms, kingdom plantae and only kingdom animalia, and this two kingdom classification was replaced with the three kingdom classification. So let's see the three kingdom classification. So in course of time, so three kingdom classification. Okay, so this three kingdom classification was proposed by Ernest Haeckel in 1866. He proposed this three kingdom classification in 1866, and the point two kingdom classification, two kingdom classification was proposed in 1735. was proposed in 1735 by Carolus Linnaeus, and that was replaced with this three kingdom classification, and that was proposed by Ernest Haeckel in 1866. And he is the person, okay, so he included, or he, okay, introduced kingdom protista. So this person introduced kingdom protista. So the total kingdoms, so the first one is kingdom animalia, okay, or I'll take plantae, then kingdom animalia, and then third one is kingdom protista. Okay, so in this plantae, we know it included all plants, and then in case of animalia, all animals, as I said, they're already included. And coming to this protista, okay, this included so it includes protozoans, dinoflagellates, euglenoids, etc. and all. Don't worry if you don't understand what these dinoflagellates and what these euglenoids and what are actually these protozoans. We will in detail study about all those examples of protozoans. Then we will see what actually are these dinoflagellates with some examples, and we'll see even euglenoids also. We'll see in detail. Don't worry about them. So here I'm just it's an introduction, so I'm just mentioning the names. We'll see, okay, in coming sessions. And right, so I hope you understood, okay, the three kingdoms, plantae, animalia and protista. And still there are organisms that have not been included under this classification. So hence what happened, the three kingdom classification in course of time is replaced with the four kingdom classification. Right, so now let's see the four kingdom classification. Four kingdom classification. So this four kingdom classification was proposed by Copeland. Was proposed by Copeland, and he introduced this classification in the year 1938. So he, okay, introduced in 1938, so proposed by Copeland. And what did he included in this okay classification, that is four kingdom classification? So he introduced kingdom Monera. So he introduced a kingdom Monera. So now all those kingdoms under four kingdom classification, so it includes already, okay, kingdom Plantae, that was introduced by Linnaeus, and then kingdom Animalia, which was also introduced by Linnaeus, and then third one, right, kingdom Protista, which was introduced by, okay, Ernest Haeckel, and then the fourth kingdom is Monera. Right, so we know already the plantae includes all plants, animals include, and the protozoans I have already mentioned. Now this new kingdom, what it includes? So it includes bacteria. So these are prokaryotic organisms, So in earlier classification, that is three kingdom classification, the bacteria were not included. And again, in this classification, this is also not a sufficient classification. Still, many other organisms are left out. And in course of time, gradually this was replaced with another system of classification. So that is a five kingdom classification that shortly I will discuss. Okay, so here prokaryotic organisms, you can classify all the organisms on the planet Earth into two categories, either eukaryotic or prokaryotic. So here, so prokaryotic, which means, okay, from the Greek, pro means before and karyos means nucleus. Okay, so these are the organisms that are formed, okay, before the formation of nucleus, which means the prokaryotic organisms will not have nucleus. So prokaryotic organisms do not have nucleus, right? But they will have nucleus like structure, so that we will see in coming sessions. Okay, so that is prokaryotic. As I told, that organisms you can classify into two categories, prokaryotic, and then the second one will be eukaryotic organisms. So here the eukaryotic organisms, from Greek eu, which means true, and I hope you know already karyos means nucleus. So these eukaryotic organisms have nucleus. So they have nucleus. Okay, so any organism on this planet, either it will be prokaryotic or it will be eukaryotic. So it will come under any one of these categories. So in our coming classes, slowly we will understand much more about the prokaryotic and eukaryotic organisms, right? So Copeland in 1938, he introduced, okay, a kingdom, that is Monera. So that became a four kingdom classification. And I told you already that this is also not a complete classification. So hence in course of time it was replaced with the five kingdom classification. So let's see the five kingdom classification. So this five kingdom classification was proposed by R.H. Whittaker. Proposed by R.H. Whittaker. Okay, in 1969. Okay, so in 1969 he proposed. I hope you can see the years from 1735 to 1969. So we have so many classifications. The two kingdom was replaced with three kingdom, then it was replaced with four kingdom, then it was replaced with now five kingdom, and now recently we have gone up to seven kingdom classification, that we will see it later. Okay, so we have at present seven kingdom classification, and it's not yet included in your textbooks. So later when we go into NEET, there we will discuss about those what are sixth kingdom and seventh kingdoms in detail. So at present I will be discussing only with the five kingdom classification. Okay, so what are those five kingdoms under this five kingdom classification? So one, kingdom Plantae. So the next kingdom Animalia, and third kingdom is Protista, and then fourth one Monera, and the fifth one is Fungi. So it means that R.H. Whittaker, he introduced kingdom fungi, right? So here the kingdom fungi, it includes, okay, all those fungal organisms. So includes all those fungal organisms, okay, right? This is all those five kingdoms in the five kingdom classification, right? So we will see uh, in course of evolution, so which group of these organisms evolved first on this planet earth, and okay, other details in the next session.